Hey guys, I wanted to do a really simple video today, just to show you how I get the bearings out of my linkage. Now, I use this method for removing a lot of bearings, from anything from engine cases to wheel bearings to linkages, whatever you need to get bearings out of. What I like is it's a real simple setup. What we've got is a long threaded rod. I picked this up from my local hardware. I've got some washers here, just of various sizes, and I've got an assortment of sockets. Now I've already picked these out just to show you a couple of things you need to watch out for. One of the first things is you need your receiver socket. Now the receiver socket is generally the larger socket, which will sit on the outside, okay, like that, just like that. And the reason I call it the receiver socket is that the bearing, which I've already removed, is going to be squished through and will need to slot straight into there. So the first thing you need to find is a socket that will fit, first of all, on the outside, and second of all, that'll let the bearing sit inside there nice and snug, just like that. Okay, you want to make sure that the bearing doesn't sit like that, because obviously it won't push all the way out of the housing or whatever you're pressing it out of, in this case the linkage. Okay, the next thing you want to look for is the pressing socket. Now this socket here happens to be the same diameter as that. Now it can be a little bit less. You don't want it too small, otherwise it's just going to push straight through or go through crooked. You don't want it sitting like that. So that one fits perfectly around there. And happens to fit around these ones as well. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove these ones for you now, just so you can see how to set it up and how it works. So first thing you want to do is get your threaded rod and just put one of the nuts sort of midway down. Make sure there's enough room for it like that. I'm going to put on a washer. It's a really good idea to get some strong washers. Get 2 or 3 and get them nicely fitted. We're going to get the socket that fits on the outside. Okay, we're going to slot the socket on like that. Put this threaded rod through. We're going to use the smaller socket and put that on like that. Okay, now as you can see, that's gone through there, and we're going to bolt this up and put the nut on the other end. Okay. And you just want to nip it all up, make sure it's nice and tight. You want to make sure this is basically lined up as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's fairly close. Then got some spanners, pop those on there. Now I've got a high torque ratcheting spanner, it just makes life a lot easier. They can be quite stiff, especially when you're trying to get them to move for the first time. Now, I've lined this all up. I can always make some adjustments later if I feel it's not coming out right. So all I'm going to do now is start tightening this up. Okay, and you should feel it move. It does get fairly tight, but not overly tight, where if you feel complete resistance, like when you're tightening a normal nut and you feel that real bite point where it gets very, very hard to turn, something's wrong and you want to maybe just reassess what's going on. Now, I've just noted that this is coming off a little bit, so I'm just going to loosen it up a little. This doesn't always happen, but if it does, and I'm glad it did, so I can show you what to look out for, just loosen it up a little bit until you can straighten that up nicely. And just use your fingers just to straighten it up, and then continue tightening, and just tighten it slowly until you feel it bite, and then you can continue. Now you can see I'm just leaving this down and holding this nice and firm. Okay, so as you can see, it's just working its way. Now I can actually see the rod moving along, which is a good sign. So I'm just going to keep on going. Okay, now what you need to remember as well, there's actually two bearings inside here that sit, one on this side and one on that side. Now this isn't deep enough to take both of them, so I felt a little bit of resistance there. So what I'm going to do is just loosen it up. And as I suspected, the one bearing has already been pressed out. So as you can see, the one bearing has already been pressed out. So because both of them won't fit in, I'm just going to take that one out, put everything back as it was. So I'll just set that aside. So just as we set it up before. Once the one's out, you'll find the other one will come up very easily. Okay. And eventually you'll find everything will become nice and loose. That just means that both bearings are out. Okay, now you can unscrew this. And there you have it. There is the other bearing, needle bearing pressed out. And a very, very easy process at that. So straightforward. And of course that presses them out of the housing nice and neat. It doesn't burr up. You don't have any issues where you're trying on a press. One of the things I have against using a press is that whenever you use a press, you end up having to try and balance this and try and get it to go straight, and you've got pressure coming down, and it's just a real pain. And I've done it before using a press, but I much prefer this method. So I hope this has helped you guys, and yeah, just to show you that you don't need to have presses and fancy tooling. This is just a simple threaded rod and a few spanners and a little bit of spare time, and there you have it. Both your bearings are out. Now, when you want to reinstall the bearings, okay, you will simply do exactly the same thing, except you'll reverse the process. So all you will do is get the same socket that you used, put this socket now on whichever side you want to press in. You want to put your bearing on, and just use your fingers just to get it semi-aligned. And then you'll put the socket back on there like that, make sure it's all nice and straight, and tighten it back in, and this will push it all the way in nice and safely. So it's same process, just reversed. So I hope this has helped you guys. Yeah, thanks for watching.